ban on structured amnesty negotiation and ransom payment by any government entity. Mandate criminal justice enforcement over expediency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, despite strong anti-kidnapping laws like life imprisonment, death penalty for kidnapping, the practice continues because it is alleged that government entities negotiate with bandits and pay ransom. That is one of the things that the House must investigate. Security analysts confirm that amnesty deals and peace negotiation, they legitimize violence. They embolden armed groups and undermine rule of law. Documented pattern across Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto shows stage ceremonies where captives are released and rusty weapons surrendered, followed by rapid restoration or resumption of violence. What then is the legislative solution on that? The legislative solution required there is to... I'm from Abia State. I rise today to lend my voice to this all-important debate.
Honorable Igarue, Honorable Inolim, please approach the chair.
This all-important debate on the security situation of our country. Let me start by thanking you, Mr. Speaker, for always being innovative, and the leadership of this House for being innovative when issues like this come up, to think about having a section like this where all of us will be heard. For granting us this platform, I thank you very much. And I thank the members for agreeing for one day of our section to be dedicated to this, and for coming in your numbers from your various constituencies. It goes to show that the Parliament truly, truly cares. But today, honorable colleagues and Nigerians who are watching, it's not a day of display of eloquence. This is a day of specifically mentioning where our problems are, what we think should be done as Parliament, because we have always argued that the Parliament remains the solution hub for our nation. And so, as you all know, Nigerian security crisis as it is at the moment demands urgent action. And I've been able to put down one or two things so that I will not forget in my presentation. I also save time for some of you who want to deliberate on this. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, it is my core finding, and I'm sure that of others, that Nigeria possesses strong deterrent laws. We don't have paucity of laws, we have strong laws. But what we suffer is weak institutional implementation, inadequate funding, transparency, and misalignment between policy and execution. So the solution requires structural legislative reform, not merely reactive military responses. Since we are not in the military, we are legislative arm of government. We must prefer legislative solution to the gaps that we have observed. Mr. Speaker, I will break my speech into this part. Number one is situational analysis, which I will break into escalating internal threats as well as external sovereign threats. The next one is legislative gap and strategic failures that we have. The third will be priority legislative agenda, what we need to do in the next 6 months as Parliament. And the next will be what are the messaging pillars that I would like to pass as a member of Parliament. And finally, I would like to address possible challenges and arguments that will be against my position on these issues. I promise to make them as brief as possible. On situational analysis, Mr. Speaker, or situational assessment, we have multidimensional security crisis. And on the side of escalating internal threats, we have on one hand banditry and kidnapping. Number one, indiscriminate kidnapping targeting schools, places of worship, and communities across Zamfara, Katsina, Kebbi, and Sokoto State, amongst others. Recent incidents, abduction of schoolgirls in Kebbi, dozens of worshippers kidnapped from Zungu Mosque in Zamfara, Catholic priests abducted in Anambra in Southeast. Number 3 on that is critical development. Armed groups now imposing parallel governance structure, demanding 100 million naira in taxes from communities in Safe, local government of Zamfara State, representing a shift from criminality to insurgent administrative control. On international scrutiny, the U.S. designated Nigeria as country of particular concern, the CPC, which have been mentioned here and again, and also beautifully in your speech. The proposed Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act by the U.S. Congress threatens sanction against Nigeria, targeting mainly 12 northern governors and all the rest of them. The news is everywhere. Let us talk about institutional weakness as part of the assessment. Nigerian police force is constrained by centralized command, inadequate funding, and lack of accountability. Number 2 is military modernization, drones, potential jet acquisition, proceeding without published defense policy on robust legal framework. The next is weak border control, which have been mentioned by the minority leader here, and interagency cooperation, enabling illicit arms and terrorism financing. Mr. Speaker, on external sovereignty threat, the U.S. political pressure is there. Number 1, President Trump threatened military strike against Nigeria over Christian killing. Number 2, analysts view this as political theater with low operational feasibility. It creates diplomatic and reputational risk. And also Nigeria must assert sovereignty while demonstrating domestic commitment to justice. We will respect our allies, but we will maintain the dignity of our sovereignty. That is the position of the Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the second one I mentioned I will be discussing is legislative gaps and strategic failures. Number 1 on that is amnesty problem. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, despite strong anti-kidnapping laws, like life imprisonment, death penalty for kidnapping, the practice continues because it is alleged that government entities negotiate with bandits and pay ransom. That is one of the things that the House must investigate. Security analysts confirm that amnesty deals and peace negotiation, they legitimize violence. They embolden armed group and undermine rule of law. Documented pattern across Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto shows stage ceremonies where captives are released and rusty weapons surrendered, followed by rapid restoration or resumption of violence. What then is the legislative solution on that? The legislative solution required there is to ban unstructured amnesty negotiation and ransom payment by any government entity. Mandate criminal justice enforcement over expediency. Number 2 on that list is police funding crisis. Mr. Speaker, the Nigerian police force suffers from the following. Number 1, low budgetary allocation with incomplete and late disbursement. Number 2 is unaccounted state government and private donation creating corruption channels. Number 3 is no transparent auditing mechanism. And this is not starting with this administration. It has been there before now. So what is the impact of this? The impact of this is that operational paralysis is observed, inability to plan effectively is observed, and perpetuation of inefficiency is also recorded. What then is the legislative solution? Because for every problem, there must be a solution. The legislative solution here is to mandate sustained, predictable funding, require rigorous record keeping, and audit all Nigerian police force fund, including donation. The number 3 is centralized policing model failure. Federal-only policing model cannot meet diverse localized security needs of 36 states and 774 local governments, Mr. Speaker. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Whether we call it state police, whether we call it community police, whether we call it local government police, the need to decentralize has become very necessary. Some argue for the amendment of Section 214 of the Constitution and the second schedule. Some say leave it as it is. Whatever it is important that we consider that. The next is critical sequencing. State police reform must allow Nigerian police force accountability reform to avoid replicating dysfunctional structure at the state level. The next is drone warfare regulatory lag. Nigeria's military successfully deploys indigenous Amebo Gulma and foreign CH-4 combat drones. They've done that successfully for precision strike. But there is, Mr. Speaker, today, no legal framework governing ethical use, accountability for civilian casualties or operational transparency. There is none, sir. It's one of the legislative gaps that we must look at. And the risk is that potential human rights violations expose Nigeria to international legal scrutiny and undermine tactical gains. What then is the legislative solution that is required? We should enact comprehensive UAS operations and oversight act, known as Drone Act, mandating compliance with international targeting laws, accountability mechanisms, and independent investigation of civilian casualty incidents. That is how we can solve that problem. Let me go to my number 3 because I say it's 5 before I round up. The number 3 is priority legislative agenda. What do we need to do in our phase 1 between now and 6 months? What is the foundation of what we need to do? What is the crisis response that the parliament need to look into? Number 1 is anti-banditry resolution. So legally prohibit ransom negotiation and mandate criminal justice process over amnesty programs. The key provisions are as follows, Mr. Speaker. Number 1, criminal penalties for government officials who negotiate ransom or authorize unstructured amnesty deals. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, is mandate prosecution through criminal justice system for all banditry suspects. Number 3, establish transparent critical criteria for any future disarmament. There is no criteria for disarmament, for demobilization and reintegration program, following proper conflict resolution protocol, not ad hoc political deals. We need to also create parliamentary oversight committee to monitor implementation. Mr. Speaker, we cannot negotiate with those who kidnap our children. Mr. Speaker, those who terrorize our community, we should not negotiate with them. That is the truth. Mr. Speaker, the next is police reform. Number 1, the objective is to ensure transparent, predictable Nigerian police force funding and regulate state-private donation. Move policing to concurrent lease if this House so decide, enabling state and local government to have a say there. And in doing that, we should provide safeguards to be able to guide that. Mr. Speaker, I say so because a police force that cannot plan beyond the next paycheck cannot protect this nation. This new plan guarantees our police the predictable, transparent funding that they need while ensuring every naira is accounted for. State police is not a silver bullet, Mr. Speaker. It is a necessary evolution of our federal system, and we should be looking at that decentralization. These are the core message of my suggestion, Mr. Speaker, the core message pillars. Number 1 is legislative leadership, not reactive politics. For too long, the National Assembly has been viewed as reactive on security matters. Today, we assert our constitutional role as the primary law-making body of this nation. These measures represent proactive, structured reform, not political theater. Sovereignty with accountability. Nigeria will never cede sovereignty to external actors, but sovereignty also demands responsibility. We will protect our citizens, prosecute perpetrators, demonstrate to the world that Nigeria solves Nigerian problem. From militarized response to institutional reform, Mr. Speaker, drones and jets have their place, but no amount of military hardware can substitute for accountable policing, for transparent funding, and for criminal justice system that actually delivers justice. The legislative agenda addresses root causes, not just symptoms. Mr. Speaker, there will be the argument as a roundup. Many will say state police will be abused by governors. Let me respond by saying, that is exactly why we are building in safeguards into this law, if we choose to do that. Many will say banning amnesty negotiation is too rigid. My response, Mr. Speaker, is show me one amnesty deal in Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Southeast, wherever in Nigeria, that has produced lasting peace. What we have seen are staged ceremonies, rusty weapons surrendered, violence resuming within months. Security experts across the spectrum argue negotiating with bandits legitimizes criminality. This act doesn't prevent disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration program. It ensures they follow proper protocol, not ad hoc political deal. As I round up finally, these reforms are expensive. That will be the argument of some of you, of my members. I will respond by saying, the cause of insecurity far exceeds the cost of reform. Kidnapping, insurance premium, lost agricultural output, displaced population, closed schools, insecurity is bleeding this economy dry. Moreover, this agenda mandates transparency auditing, meaning we will finally know where security funds are actually going. Efficiency, not just expenditure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Thank you, honorable members, for listening.